Mr. Reddit Man presents Lawyers of Reddit. What is the stupidest case anyone has ever come to you with wanting to sue? Someone came in because their neighbor had done some gardening along the boundary between their front lawns. The client wanted to know whether she could sue the neighbor for trespass for the pebbles that had come onto the client's side and theft for the soil that had gone onto the neighbor's side. This can actually be an issue. My mom's neighbor has been power trimming and spraying chemicals a couple of feet onto her property in blatant disregard of the plants she actually wants to have growing. Some very young apple trees and some planted flowers. I do not think the apple trees are going to make it much longer. And the flowers are totally gone. She paid good money for little saplings, planted them on her property, and now her neighbor's killing them. I did some work experience at a law firm, and a case popped up about a couple who were walking on a wall and fell off. They wanted to sue the person who owned the wall. While that's an extreme case, I used to work in flood defense, and one of our projects a while back was a simple moving of a dike in a farmer's field. Head dike, a few meters. So it's all done and fine by our judgment and we get along with things. However, it turns out the contractors did not quite bury the tip of a drainage/outfall pipe, which was actually a little way down the bank. Not even on the crest, which was a footpath. A guy was walking down there, we suspect pissed, and tripped over it. The legal case is still ongoing, and yes, he tracked down the owner of the field and the offending pipe, the builders that put it in, then our consultancy who designed the modifications, then wanted to sue us. However, being quite high profile, our company was wondering whether it was just easier to pay this guy to shut the duck up because he might become too mouthy, or fight it because it's dumbbed. The more dumbbed thing is that we technically have liability for that, like 2 centimeters of pipe sticking out of the bank that's not designed for walking on if you follow the paper trail like that guy did. Jesus. I did a pro bono case for a street clown who wanted to sue another street clown for stealing his routine. You cannot copyright a routine because it ISN not stored in a medium. I told him that, but he insisted we try to break some new legal ground. I met with this guy who wanted to sue a library because they had banned him for one day. Apparently, he was being disruptive and the administrator told him that he was banned for one day. Fortunately, I was able to convince him what a monumentally stupid idea this was. I know a paramedic, and they told me this story. I was out at a restaurant with some of my friends. There was a guy sitting behind us who went into cardiac arrest. I was still a trainee, so I decided to give him CPR. I kept his heart pumping for 3 minutes before the ambulance arrived. He lived. 3 weeks later I received a lawsuit complaining that I had broke one of the man's ribs. I saved his life, and he was suing me because I did minor damage. Somewhat related note. My EMT instructor told us of how he had a young female patient in cardiac arrest at the mall. He needed to defibrillate. Being a rookie, he forgot to remove the woman's bra, which had a metal underwire. When he shocked her, her bra lit on fire, causing second-degree burns to her breasts. He went to the hospital with flowers to apologize. The patient forgave him and thanked him profusely for saving her life. That turned out better than expected. I'm not sure if this really counts as stupid, but I had a prospective client who wanted to sue for infringement of his patents on PVC piping. He wanted $20 quadrillion 4 times over. He also had a computer chip implanted in his brain by the FBI. I sent him to the local hospital that specialized in implanted computer chips. My dad is a lawyer, and he had one person come in that wanted to sue McDonald's because she got her cheeseburger upside down in the bag at McDonald's instead of right side up. He also had a person come in, and he could not walk because of some injury at work. At the time, my dad was skeptical, so he hired a psychologist to do an examination on him, and she found out that something could be wrong, but she could not put her finger on it. Jump to next week. My dad ends up with a video in his hands of the person walking down their driveway to take out the trash. Busted. So my dad called them and told them, hey, come on in. We have a breakthrough in your case, and you can get some money for your injury. So the guy comes to his office, and he leaves him sitting in the lobby for almost an hour because my dad knows this guy is a scumbag just trying to get money over nothing, which makes lawyers look bad. So then my dad calls him into the meeting room and plays the video. The guy walked out, having worked at a fast food joint before. We used to get yelled at by managers that we were wrapping the burgers upside down. So we switched how we were wrapping them. Then the next day, got yelled at by another manager because the burgers were upside down. When I was 19 years old, I was sued by a 50-something-year-old redneck for $10,000 because I caused him to lose the will to live. Apparently 10k was the magic number to talk him out of suicide. Please explain, as you requested. Everyone in the US with car insurance has a maximum the driver can be sued for. That insurance will cover/represent. My insurance would cover me for up to $10,000. This is advantageous for people looking to make a little money because insurance companies would rather throw the plaintiff some money and settle than waste time and money to go to court. However, if someone were to sue for more than $10,000, I would have to hire my own attorney, and unless the plaintiff had a strong case, he would not be getting anything at all. I accidentally rear-ended a guy going less than 10 miles per hour. My airbags did not deploy. He drove an old clunker truck. So my insurance gave him quite a bit of money for his troubles considering no damage was really done. It was not enough for him. He then tried to file a medical claim, but that did not fly. My insurance-sponsored attorney found out he was addicted to painkillers, so had been in pain for a while. At that point, this redneck hit the lowest of the low. When I was a teenager I was served papers stating I was being sued for $10,000 because I caused this man to lose the will to live. Does that sound frivolous to you? It should. Well, on the morning of the deposition, I met the plaintiff's attorney. He was actually a pretty nice guy. He sat right next to me and said, "Hey, I'm sorry about this. I have got to put food on the table. You know, my insurance ended up settling with the guy for about $3,500. I hope his attorney took half." I'm a wedding photographer. 2 brides have threatened to sue me because it rained on their wedding day. Not a defense attorney, but I work in a prosecutor's office. That job can often be just as ridiculous because you get people showing up on a daily basis wanting other people thrown in jail for random malarkey. At least once a week, someone comes in wanting to file a protection, restraining order on someone else for posting lies about them on Facebook. A few days ago I spent an hour being screamed at by an elderly person because I told him a neighbor's tree branch hanging over the property line did not qualify as criminal trespassing. In general, people simply do not understand the concept of due process. They will come in with guns blazing, expecting us to arrest and charge someone right now based solely upon their personal testimony, despite having no physical evidence, no other witnesses to corroborate their story, and often no address where investigators could even find the accused to follow up on the report. 100% of them leave convinced the system is biased against them. I got sued once for hitting a guy in my Ramchacha. It was my fault, but he tried to play me and lost horribly. He got into the ambulance at the scene, then decided against it and said he was fine. The same cop gave us both a ride home. He proceeds to go to a bar, get drunk and fall off a bar stool and hurt his back. Now has hurt enough to go to a hospital. He sues but neglects to mention this fact to anyone. My lawyer ripped him apart in court and I never had to pay a dime other than what insurance paid for his car. Afterwards my lawyer told me that was the most fun has ever had on a case. Mr. Edit Man is hacking this post. If you are enjoying the video so far, smash that like button and subscribe if you have not yet. I was in a 6-car pileup last March. I was 5th in the line and the guy in front of me hit first going about 50 miles per hour. He caused all the other cars in front to hit each other. He left the scene in pretty bad shape. I hit my brakes and barely hit his car. My airbags did not go off. Had it not hit my radiator I would have been able to drive home in my car. Now he's trying to sue me for his medical bills. About 50k. Asshole. On top of that the guy second from the front is suing everyone in the accident. I mean everyone. Even the people that were just parked behind him when the guy in front of me hit the parked people into him. They did not park far enough back for a 1.5 ton mass going 50 miles per hour to come to a stop apparently. I used to work for the Attorney General in my home jurisdiction. A guy had his children taken away for some really horrible abuse. He was crazy and had really bad malarkey religious beliefs. Tried to get his kids back by claiming they were his intellectual property. He sent notices that had copyrighted the kids and demands for their return. Then he got the idea that his name and all his kids' names were trademarks. So every time he received a court document that referenced any of their names, he sent us an invoice for trillions of dollars for each use of his trademarks. Eater. I guess this does not really fit the bill since the dude was not coming to me to sue someone, but it was still pretty remarkable. 2 years ago I was struck head on in an intersection by a woman driving in SUV. I was driving my dad's Civic. She was speeding and had gone through a red light. My car was totaled, while hers looked like her bumper needed to be replaced. When the police showed up they told me that she was obviously at fault and not to worry. A few days later I get a call from my insurance company saying that I was at fault. Turns out the lady that hit me was a police chief's wife. It took a year to fight the case in court, which I eventually won due to the huge amounts of evidence against her. But it gets better. 2 months ago I get a call from my insurance company saying that they were going to close the case. Huge relief that that chapter of my life was over. The next day I get a call saying that the case was reopened and I was being sued because the lady had suffered injuries in the crash. A crash that I was ultimately found not at fault for. To sum it up, cop's wife hits my car head on, totaling it. Police said I was not at fault, but then wrote up the report saying I was. Ultimately found not at fault in court a year later. 2 years later she is suing me for her hospital bills and injuries. It would be a tie between two. A woman wanted to sue because Dr. Pepper bottle caps had cut her fingers twice over a 3-year period. A man wanted to sue Walgreens because it used pictures of his secretary's children in its ad without her permission. Not sure he has standing. Conveyancing in England. Legal stuff concerned buying and selling property. Requirement if you have a mortgage but everyone uses them, even when they do not. Had a client selling. Got all the way to exchange when we got told there was a tenant who we had never ever been told about. We had to delay the sale on the property because the buyers had no idea either and we were obligated to tell them. The seller got pissed at us and refused to give us any information after that, saying we should just get on with it. We explained we needed the info. She refused. She changed from our company to another and sued us for the delay, and because she had to keep paying the mortgage rather than sell the property. She told the ombudsman that we were refusing to progress the matter, and she was 100% helpful and gave us everything we requested within seconds. We explained our side with evidence of consistent letter writing etc. and got told that it was our fault because we did not request information about the tenant daily. We did it 2-3 times a week but not daily. She changed within 2 weeks. And because we did not specifically ask her about the tenant before she instructed us to even act. It was baffling. We ended up paying her fees back plus 300%. She gave us negative reviews saying the next company sold the house within 4 days. We looked it up and she still owns the property. People are assholes. You have made it until the end of this video. Now listen here and listen here closely. Like and subscribe for more curated content from Mr. Edit Man. Thanks for watching.